they all have the same exact story, a story that beings came here from up there down to this planet and then engaged them in some way, shape, or form. Now, where it gets interesting and intricate is these beings claimed to be God. They masqueraded as gods. And in the region where they ruled over people, they were the people's God. Their people were told that I am the only one God. For example, Amun-Ra, so also known as Marduk in the Jewish Torah and the modern day canonized Bible. He says, there'll be no other God but me. I'm a jealous God. So the people of that region said, oh man, this guy is the only one. This is the only one we can pray to. This is the only one we can give thanks to. And everyone was duplicating that in other regions of the planet. Now, what's interesting, and this is where it gets really crazy, these beings that were masquerading as gods on earth, walking amongst men and ruling over them, said this exact thing, that when the creator of all finds out what we've done here, we're going to have to pay for this. And this is written in the tablets, in several different tablets, in several different time periods. So even they knew they weren't gods. They knew they were masquerading, and they knew that there was a creator above them, that there's a creator of all, they called it. They didn't call it a god. They said a creator of all. That means everything that exists. So they understand that there's a creator, and they felt some type of guilt that they would be punished for what they had done on this planet to human beings. Pretty interesting. So when it gets into God and Satan, when it comes into what I call the modern day idiom, where we're now talking about what's inside of these New Age religious texts, and I do mean New Age. The Bible is New Age. The Bible was written from 100 AD to 900 AD. That's brand new compared to 8,000 old tablets, 36,000-year-old tablets. That's brand spanking new. That just arrived here, right? Yes. The Torah, maybe a little bit older than that. In some of these other texts, the Tibetan Book of the Dead and all these other texts, these texts are fairly new. Now, what's happening here? You look in into the Garden of Eden story, which is actually comes out of the Sumerian tablets, and it's in Mesopotamia where there was an Eden, E-D-I-N. This Eden was an outdoor laboratory according to the tablets, not according to Billy Carson. So don't say Billy is making stuff up. No, you go do what I did. Research them. They're available online for free. Everyone can read them. UCLA, CDLI, Cuneiform Online Digital Library. It's free. You can go there and download all the tablets and read the translations for yourself. You don't need me. Now, so what's interesting is in these tablets, in the Eden, you had Adam and you had Eve, the two beings that were there. Now, first you had Adam. Adam was actually born through Isis. Now, so the reason why this happened is because there were already people on earth. As well as in the Bible, when you read the Old Testament the right way, you realize that there were people here, because after Cain got kicked out, he said the people out there are going to kill me. Well, what people out there? So clearly there were people out there that existed. In the Sumerian tablets, you discover that they had already began a genetic cloning of people on this planet from our own cousins that were already here, to make a slave race, because they got tired of doing the work themselves. They have been laboring on this planet for a long time, approximately 200,000 years. Hold on one second.
Take your time.
So approximately, I've been talking all day, but this is probably my sixth video that I've done today. So they were laboring on this planet, according to the tablets, for about 250,000 years on their own. No slave labor. They were doing this. That's in the Atrahasis epic, right? And the Enuma Elish as well. And then all of a sudden they said, we're tired of this work. Enki and Enlil, who were the kings of earth at the time, part of this race of beings that were masquerading, we're going to go to war against these guys and tell them, look, we're done. We're not doing this work anymore. So in the Atrahasis, they talk about actually leaving Mars, because they were working also even on Mars, creating a concurrent civilization. They came down. These are the sons of God, because they were all sons of Anu, the head of this pantheon of Sumerian Anunnaki. The sons of God fell down. They came from Mars down to Earth, and they were going to go to war against God. It was Anu, Enki, and Enlil, that three, the Trinity, right there in South Africa at Adam's Calendar. Well documented, and that site has been discovered as one of the first original gold mines, and it dates back to approximately when? 200,000 years ago, just like the tablets say. And so now we have a point here where this slave race they agreed to do it. What they do is they agree to clone us, our cousins, and turned them into slaves, which they began to do, but they had a problem. The clones weren't living long. They couldn't reproduce on their own. Just like if you take a lion and a tiger and you get a tigon, right, or a liger, they can't mate and create more ligers or tigons. You have to, it doesn't work. That was the problem they ran into. They had strong, big people that can do a lot of work but couldn't reproduce. And it was a lot of work to keep making them. So what they did was this: ISIS says, I'm going to take one in my own womb. This is a famous cylinder scroll that's at the British Museum. She took an egg from an existing being, a hominid, our cousin, not Homo sapien yet, but similar to us, took the egg out of the womb. They added their essence to the egg, meaning they did a genetic modification, possibly taking out some of the genetic material and adding some of their genetic material, inserted it back into her own womb, and took the baby to term a full 10 months, not 9, according to the tablets, 10 months term, and gave birth to Adamu, which means first man. The translation of Adamu means first man. And so there's a famous cylinder scroll of her holding the baby up saying, my hands have made it. And that began the generations of ISIS, the generations of ISIS, Genesis. That's where Genesis came from. It's Genesis. That begins the generations. Now, fast forward into the future, we're in the garden, and Enlil is also known as Yahweh. So he's masquerading as Yahweh in the Bible. Anywhere in the Bible where it's Yahweh, it's actually this guy Enlil, who's actually a pretty evil dude. He goes and comes a lot. He goes away. While he's gone, his brother, Ea Enki, who the earth is named after, goes into the garden and starts having empathy for the humans and starts telling them, look, you guys are just as powerful as us. You guys are just as incredible as us, maybe even more powerful than even we are. You have knowledge, you have wisdom, you're a sentient being. He starts feeding them. He starts giving them the apple. The apple is knowledge. Once they get this knowledge, they're like, oh man, what are we doing? We're running around like animals, man. Give me I want some clothes. Let me cover myself. So after some time of his teachings in the garden, a while later, this could be even months, maybe even a year. You know how long this guy goes away and comes back. He comes back, Yahweh, and says, man, what's going on? You guys got some knowledge. So he gets pissed off at his brother because he found out his brother did that. He then begins to call his brother Satan. However, because of the way that he was treating the people in these experiments and the slaves and everything else, when you read the tablets, you'll understand he was killing people by the hundreds of thousands just because he felt like it if they got too noisy, according to the tablets. They were calling him Satan, but he detracted that from himself and pushed it off to his brother. No, this is the one that's been doing this to you. He's Satan. So the people of the old, the ancients, they used to call him Satan, the Lord of Eden. That was Enlil's actual name, aka Yahweh in the modern day Bible. He then detracted it from himself and pushed it off on his brother after this Garden of Eden incident and said, look, no, he's the evil one. Don't talk to him, because he didn't want people to start talking to Enki, because Enki was telling people the truth. Like, we're equals. And he didn't like that. So him and his brother kind of went to battle with each other. All right. And this is all in the tablets. Everything I'm telling you is verifiable 100,000%. And we could sit here on a video one day and just go through tablet after tablet. If somebody want to spend 4 or 5 hours on here with me, we could do it. The tablets don't lie. And so now this is where you get God, who's Yahweh, Enlil, and now you get Satan, who's actually his brother, who actually is the good guy. So, you know, it becomes this weird dichotomy of the situation where we got somebody who's being called the dark guy, who's actually the light guy, and the guy who's the light guy is really the dark guy. And as human beings are so ignorant, we got the whole thing tossed upside down. And then thousands of years later, people start finding scriptures and cylinder scrolls in caves, right? This cave got these scriptures and these cylinder scrolls and some tablets. And, oh, we found this copy of these tablets over here. And they start piecing this stuff together to create what? The modern day Bible. But they didn't start finding these writings until the 1st century. Nobody sat around writing this Bible in real time. There was nobody running behind Moses. Hold on, Mr. Moses. Say that one more time so I can get it just right. There was nobody doing that, dog. Nobody was doing that. Nobody. Jesus, stop. Jesus, hold on. You're speaking too fast, Jesus. Let me make sure I got to get this right. Hold on. Say that one more time for me. With more emphasis. No, wasn't happening. The Bible was written 2,000 years after everybody was already dead.